Ford Manual for owners and operators of Ford cars and trucks. Copyrighted 1919 by Ford Motor Company. All rights reserved. Published by Ford Motor Company, Detroit, Michigan, USA. Forward. It is a significant fact that nearly all Ford cars are driven by laymen, by owners who in the great majority of cases have little or no practical experience with things mechanical. The simplicity of the Ford car and the ease with which it is operated renders an intimate knowledge of mechanical technicalities unnecessary for its operation. And the further fact that there are more than 20,000 Ford service stations distributed throughout the civilized world, where adjustments and repairs may be had with no annoying delay, gives to Ford owners a singular freedom from mechanical annoyances which beset owners of cars having limited service facilities and distribution. But while it is not imperative, it is, however, altogether desirable that every Ford owner should thoroughly understand his car. With such knowledge at his command, he is always master of the situation. He will maintain his car more economically, prolong its usefulness, and he will also derive more pleasure from it, for it is a truism that the more one knows about a thing, the more one enjoys it. The mastery of a thorough knowledge of Ford construction is by no means a difficult or time-consuming task. The Ford is the simplest car made. It is easy to understand, and is not difficult to keep in proper adjustment and repair. That the Ford construction may be thoroughly understood, and that there may be an authoritative guide for the making of Ford adjustments, this book is published. Important. It is most important that owners of Ford cars shall insist upon getting the genuine Ford-made materials, or parts, when having repairs or replacements made. This will be assured when the car is taken to the authorized Ford agent. Imitation or bogus or counterfeit parts of inferior quality are being made and sold as Ford parts. Avoid their use by dealing with the authorized Ford agent. The car and its operation. Answer number 1. What must be done before starting the car? Before trying to start the car, fill the radiator by removing cap at top with clean fresh water. If perfectly clean water cannot be obtained, it is advisable to strain it through muslin or other similar material to prevent foreign matter from getting in and obstructing the small tubes of the radiator. The system will hold approximately 3 gallons. It is important that the car should not be run under its own power unless the water circulating system has been filled. Pour in the water until you are sure that both radiator and cylinder water jackets are full. The water will run out of the overflow pipe onto the ground when the entire water system has been properly filled. During the first few days that a new car is being driven, it is a good plan to examine the radiator frequently and see that it is kept properly filled. The water supply should be replenished as often as may be found necessary. Soft rainwater, when it is to be had in a clean state, is superior to hard water, which may contain alkalis and other salts which tend to deposit sediment and clog the radiator. See chapter on cooling system. Answer number 2. What about gasoline? The 10-gallon gasoline tank should be filled, nearly full, and the supply should never be allowed to get low. When filling the tank, be sure that there are no naked flames within several feet, as the vapor is extremely volatile and travels rapidly. Always be careful about lighting matches near where gasoline has been spilled, as the air within a radius of several feet is permeated with the highly explosive vapor. The small vent hole in the gasoline cap should not be allowed to get plugged up, as this would prevent proper flow of the gasoline to the carburetor. The gasoline tank may be drained by opening the petcock in the sediment bulb at the bottom. Answer number 3. How about the oiling system? Upon receipt of the car, see that a supply of medium-light, high-grade gas engine oil is poured into the crankcase through the breather pipe at the front of the engine. A metal cap covers it. Down under the car in the flywheel casing, the reservoir which holds this oil, you will find 2 petcocks. Pour oil in slowly until it runs out of the upper cock. Leave the cock open until it stops running, then close it. After the engine has become thoroughly limbered up, the best results will be obtained by carrying the oil at a level midway between the 2 cocks. But under no circumstances should it be allowed to get below the lower cock. All other parts of the car are properly oiled when it leaves the factory. However, it will be well to see that all grease cups are filled and that oil is supplied to necessary parts. See cut number 18, also chapter on lubrication. Answer number 4. How are spark and throttle levers used? Under the steering wheel are 2 small levers. The right-hand throttle lever controls the amount of mixture, gasoline and air, which goes into the engine. When the engine is in operation, the farther this lever is moved downward toward the driver, referring to as opening the throttle, the faster the engine runs and the greater the power furnished. The left-hand lever controls the spark, which explodes the gas in the cylinders of the engine. The advancing of this lever advances the spark, and it should be moved down notch by notch until the motor seems to reach its maximum speed. If the lever is advanced beyond this point, a dull knock will be noticed in the engine. See chapter on ignition. Steering wheel, showing reduction gears meshing with the teeth of the gear case and center pinion. Cut number 1. Answer number 5. Where should these levers be when starting the engine? The spark lever should usually be put in about the 3rd or 4th notch of the quadrant, the notched half circle on which the levers operate. The throttle should usually be opened about 5 or 6 notches. A little experience will soon teach you where the levers should be placed for proper starting. Care should be taken not to advance the spark lever too far, as the engine may back kick. Answer number 6. What else is necessary before starting the engine? First, see that the hand lever, which comes up through the floor of the car at the left of the driver, is pulled back as far as it will go. The lever in this position holds the clutch in neutral and engages the hub brake, thus preventing the car moving forward when the engine is started. Second, after inserting the switch key in the switch on the coil box, throw the switch lever as far to the left as it will go, to the point marked magneto. This switch connects the magneto with the engine. The engine can't be started until it is on, and the throwing off of this switch stops the engine. Answer number 7. How is the engine started? If the car is not equipped with a starter, the engine is started by the lifting of the starting crank at the front of the car. Take hold of the handle and push firmly toward the car till you feel the crank ratchet engage, then lift upward with a quick swing. With a little experience, this operation will become an easy matter. Don't, as a usual thing, crank downward against the compression, for then an early explosion may drive the handle vigorously backward. This does not mean, however, that it is not advisable, when the car is hard to start, to occasionally spin the engine by the use of the starting handle. But be sure the spark lever is retarded when spinning or cranking the engine against a compression. Otherwise, a sudden backfire may injure the arm of the operator. When the engine is cool, it is advisable to prime the carburetor by pulling on the small wire at the lower left corner of the radiator, while giving the engine 2 or 3 quarter turns with the starting handle. If the car is equipped with a starter, the spark and throttle levers should be placed in the same position on the quadrant as when cranking by hand, and the ignition switch turned on. Current from either battery or magneto may be used for ignition. However, we recommend that the magneto be used at all times. The magneto was designed to furnish ignition for the Model T engine, and better results will be obtained by operating in this way. Special attention must be paid to the position of the spark lever, as a too advanced spark will cause serious backfiring, which in turn will bend or break the shaft in the starter. The starting motor is operated by a push button, conveniently located in the floor of the car at the driver's feet. With the spark and throttle levers in the proper position and the ignition switch turned on, press on the push button with the foot. This closes the circuit between the battery and starting motor, causing the pinion of the Bendix drive shaft to engage with the teeth on the flywheel, thus turning over the crankshaft. When the engine is cold, it may be necessary to prime it by pulling out the carburetor priming rod, which is located on the instrument board. In order to avoid flooding the engine with an over-rich mixture of gas, the priming rod should only be held out for a few seconds at a time. Answer number 8. How is the engine best started in cold weather? As gasoline does not vaporize readily in cold weather, it is naturally more difficult to start the motor under such conditions. The usual method of starting the engine when cold is to turn the carburetor dash adjustment 1/4 turn to the left in order to allow a richer mixture of gasoline to be drawn into the cylinders. Then hold out the priming rod while you turn crank from 6 to 8 1/4 turns in quick succession, or turn the motor over a few times with the starter. Another method of starting a troublesome cold engine is as follows. Before you throw on the magneto switch, 1. Close throttle lever. 2. Hold out priming rod while you give crank several quick turns, or turn the motor over a few times with the starter. Then let go of priming rod, being careful that it goes back all the way. 3. Place spark lever in about third notch and advance throttle lever several notches. 4. Throw on switch, being sure to get it on side marked magneto. 5. Give crank 1 or 2 turns, or close the starting switch, and the motor should start. After starting the motor, it is advisable to advance the spark 8 or 10 notches on the quadrant, and let the motor run until thoroughly heated up. If you start out with a cold motor, you will not have much power and are liable to stall. The advantage of turning on the switch last, or after priming, is that when you throw on the switch and start the motor, you have plenty of gas in the cylinders to keep the motor running, thereby eliminating the trouble of the motor starting and stopping. After motor is warmed up, turn carburetor adjustment back 1/4 turn. To facilitate starting, many drivers make a practice of stopping their engine by pulling out on the priming rod, which has the effect of shutting off the air suction and filling the cylinders full of a very rich gasoline vapor. This should not be done unless that car is going to stand overnight or long enough to cool off. If the motor is stopped in this way and then started when hot, starting is apt to be difficult on account of the surplus gasoline in the carburetor. Answer number 9. What function does the hand lever perform? Its chief purpose is to hold the clutch in neutral position. If it were not for this lever, the driver would have to stop the engine whenever he left the driver's seat. He would also be unable to crank the engine without the car starting forward with the first explosion. When pulled back as far as it will go, the hand lever acts as an emergency brake on the rear wheels by expanding the brake shoes in the rear wheel drums. Therefore, the hand lever should be back as far as it will go when cranking the engine, or when the car is at rest. It should be only in a vertical position and not far enough backward to act as a brake on the rear wheels when the car is to be reversed. When the car is operating in high or low speed, the hand lever should be all the way forward. Answer number 10. How do the foot pedals operate? The first one toward the left operates the clutch. When pressed forward, the clutch pedal engages the low speed. When halfway forward, the clutch is in neutral, i.e. disconnected from the driving mechanism of the rear wheels, and the releasing of this pedal engages the high-speed clutch. The center pedal operates the reverse. The right-hand pedal operates the transmission brake. Answer number 11. How is the car started? Slightly accelerate the engine by opening the throttle. Press the clutch pedal halfway forward, thereby holding the clutch in a neutral position, while throwing the hand lever forward. Then press the pedal forward into slow speed, and when under sufficient headway, 20 to 30 feet, allow the pedal to drop back slowly into high speed, at the same time partially closing the throttle, which will allow the engine to pick up its load easily. With a little practice, the change of speeds will be easily accomplished, and without any appreciable effect on the smooth running of the machine. Answer number 12. How is the car stopped? Partially close the throttle. Release the high speed by pressing the clutch pedal forward into neutral. Apply the foot brake slowly but firmly until the car comes to a dead stop. Do not remove foot from the clutch pedal without first pulling the hand lever back to neutral position, or the engine will stall. To stop the motor, open the throttle a trifle to accelerate the motor and then throw off the switch. The engine will then stop with the cylinders full of explosive gas, which will naturally facilitate starting. Endeavor to so familiarize yourself with the operation of the car that to disengage the clutch and apply the brake becomes practically automatic. The natural thing to do in case of emergency. Answer number 13. How is the car reversed? It must be brought to a dead stop. With the engine running, disengage the clutch with the hand lever and press the reverse pedal forward with the left foot, the right foot being free to use on the brake pedal if needed. Do not bring the hand lever back too far or you will set the brakes on rear wheels. Experienced drivers ordinarily reverse the car by simply holding the clutch pedal in neutral with the left foot and operating the reverse pedal with the right. How is the spark controlled? Answer number 14. By the left-hand lever under the steering wheel. Good operators drive with the spark lever advanced just as far as the engine will permit. However, advancing the spark too far will cause a dull knock in the motor, due to the fact that the explosion occurs too early. The spark should only be retarded when the engine slows down on a heavy road or steep grade. But care should be exercised not to retard the spark too far, as this will result in late ignition, which causes loss of power and overheating of the motor, and may also result in warped, burned, or cracked valves. Learn to operate the spark as the occasion demands. The greatest economy in gasoline consumption is obtained by driving with the spark advanced sufficiently to obtain the maximum speed. How is the speed of car controlled? Answer number 15. The different speeds required to meet road conditions are obtained by opening or closing the throttle. Practically all the running speeds needed for ordinary travel are obtained on high gear, and it is seldom necessary to use the low gear except to give the car momentum in starting. The speed of the car may be temporarily slackened in driving through crowded traffic, turning corners, etc., by slipping the clutch, i.e., pressing the clutch pedal forward into neutral. Is it advisable for owners to make their own adjustments? Answer number 16. The Ford is the simplest of all cars. Most of the ordinary adjustments an owner will soon learn to make for himself. But we must strongly recommend that when it becomes necessary to employ the services of a mechanic, the car be taken to a Ford mechanic, one of our own representatives who thoroughly understands the car, and who will have no motive for running up useless repair bills. The entire Ford organization is interested in keeping every individual Ford car in constant operation at the lowest possible cost. We have known of much damage done to many cars by unskilled repairmen. What attention does the car need? Answer number 17. Remember that a new machine requires more careful attention during the first few days it is being driven than after the parts have become thoroughly worked in. The car which is driven slowly and carefully when new usually gives the most satisfactory service in the end. Never start out with your car until you are sure that it has plenty of oil and water. Frequently inspect the running gear. See that no unnecessary play exists in either front or rear wheels, and that all bolts and nuts are tight. Make a practice of taking care of every repair or adjustment as soon as its necessity is discovered. This attention requires but little time and may avoid delay or possible accident on the road. We aim to deliver the car in proper mechanical adjustment. Afterwards, it is plainly the duty of the driver to keep it in that condition.